Hello, it's been a while, hasn't it? Thank you for your patience if you're waiting for your book to be read. I'm not gonna say I'm sorry for leaving, I was just busy. And you know what, sometimes life and you just have to live your life and get everything out of the way so you can come back to making videos again. Silly little videos again. But yeah, I'm here. I review more than 4 books actually, although I draw 2 books, I review them. In the previous video I drew 2 books, and now I'm reviewing those books, and then I also drew another set of books, and I'm also reviewing them in this video. So I guess that's kind of just gonna be how it is now. I think honestly I just don't have time to do like a monthly update, and I'm not even sure if it's like worth it sometimes, so I think this will be fine. To be quite honest, I'm not very excited about the books that I pulled for the month of August, but it is what it is. It's already halfway through August, and I can tell you I still am not a big fan of the books that I pulled for the month of August, but that just means hopefully I'll be back sooner. I'll have another update sooner. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. That's all I have for now. Enjoy the video. Thanks for sticking around. Bye! Hi, I'm Sluggy. Sorry for the slight delay. Welcome back to the observatory. My name is Chip Starlick, and I'm back. So the first book I have to review is The Lost Dreamer by Liz Huerta. The funny enough, the mini cover, oh my gosh, where's shockingly, the cover that I decided to download, or I grabbed for my mini book, is not the same cover as this one. That's the one that was at my library, but whatever, it's fine. The Lost Dream by Liz Huerta is a dual POV novel set in a Mesoamerican fantasy world. Indir is a dreamer, meaning she has descended from a long line of seers. She is able to dream what realities are to come. With a new king in power that basically wants to end the dreamers, Indir's world is shaken to its core. Much of her story is dealing with sudden new changes and decisions that she has to make, and then the other point of view is Saya, who can also see truths and realities in her dreams, but she has never been formally trained. And so she's not considered a dreamer. A dreamer is like a position. So Saya has traveled from town to town with her mother, who passes off Saya's gifts as her own as a way to make a living, and they never stay in one place for too long. Why is that? One day, Saya loses the necklace that she has worn her entire life, and suddenly her worldview is expanded exponentially. I'm not going to expand on that because it's kind of a spoiler, so you'll have to read the book to find out. But both Saya and Indir will do things they've never done before, risking it all for answers and to potentially save the world? So unfortunately, I was really disappointed in this book. It was a lush Mesoamerican fantasy world, and it involved dreaming magic, and I thought that was really super up my alley, but the plot just felt really flat for me, unfortunately. I have to give kudos to Huerta for aiming high, trying to write this kind of story. The world building was fascinating, but it was a little too vague and to feel like really planted in this world as a reader. There are a lot of characters, but many of them are only involved for a handful of chapters, so it's hard to like remember who was who, or like maybe I remember who they were, but they don't matter at all. I personally felt this muddled the plot like a lot. My real gripe, though, is that Indir's chapters were a slog to get through. They're so boring compared to Saya's. Saya's were gripping and exciting because we were learning about the world with her, whereas Indir was just like, oh yeah, I know everything. And like, because she already knew everything about the world, she wasn't explaining the world, which makes sense, but I kind of feel like maybe should have been, I don't know, like not, what's the word? Put together differently, like pieced together differently. There are really strange lines in this book too. Like some characters are not described very well, and so like maybe a side character had like a completely different form in an earlier version of this novel. I don't know. Like there are some characters, like they say lines and it implies that they are trans masc, but also they're totally not based on what the character's saying otherwise. There's things like that. It's very weird. I don't know. Like I'm all for representation, but it wasn't clear, and so it just confused me instead. It was just a bit of a strange book. I think if it had been reworked a bit more, it would have really worked for me. Like, I can see the vision that Huerta had. I just don't think she knocked it out of the park. So, oh well. This was a recommendation from TBR.co, which is a company that literally just recommends books to people. So, I don't think this was a bad rec, because, like, honestly, I wouldn't have even known about this book beforehand. And I think that it was a great concept, but not a good execution. So, oh well. The next book I read was The Last Hour Between Worlds by Melissa Caruso. Again, the one I grabbed, the cover I grabbed is not the same as this one. But that's okay. Whatever. The Last Hour Between Worlds by Melissa Caruso is about Kimbrel Thorne. She has decided to go out for the first time after giving birth, and it just so happens to be a fancy New Year's party. Everything seems to be alright, although she's a bit uncomfortable adjusting to a life outside of the house again until party guests start dropping dead. They start dropping dead. And suddenly, despite being on leave, Kimbrel has to go... She basically has to go to work. She has to get to work to try to save everyone at this party. After all, she is a hound to her core, which is like... The hounds are like a group of people that find people when they get lost or help when there's trouble afoot. She ends up having to team up with her nemesis, but maybe secret crush, Rika Nunsuch, someone who works for a cat guild that they're like assassins, spy people. Rika clearly knows something about what's going on at this party, but she isn't willing to let Kimbrel know too much. Basically, this world has a prime version of their world and then infinite echoes of each other, each echo of the previous world being a bit weirder than the one before, and you can fall into the echoes, and that seems to be what's happening here. As Kimbrel, Rika, and everyone at the party start to fall deeper into the echoes, the more deadly and imperative it becomes to unravel the secret of this mysterious clock that I failed to mention earlier. But yes, there is a cool clock. Here, I'll show you. The cool clock. Ta-da! This is the Illumicrate version of this book, so it's actually very cool. This is a really cool cover, and then it has like, you have Kimbrel and Rika on the inside cover too. That's pretty cool. So I thought this book was pretty great. I think I put myself into a bit of a reading slump unfortunately, reading The Lost Dreamer, because it just was like, I wanted it to be good and it just wasn't the whole time, but it was readable enough that I didn't drop it. I thought I would have a hard time getting into this book, but it was fine. I liked it a lot, actually. It was very engaging, and I thought the fascinating world building and like the will they won't they sapphic relationship that is like the key crux of this world, this story, was great. Although it wasn't very clear what precisely was happening at certain points, I think the disorienting vibe of reading it matched the disorienting time the characters were going through. Most of the characters introduced in this book are fun to read about, but I had a hard time remembering everyone's names. But I think that's because the plot was moving way too fast, and the stakes were changing so quickly that I was like, wait, who is that? I don't remember. Either way, I think the reveals and twists and this little explanation of what is actually going on in the story made for a satisfying read. The world reminded me a lot of like video games that I've played, namely Final Fantasy XIV and maybe Bloodborne. I haven't played Bloodborne, but it kind of reminded me of like what I've seen of Bloodborne to a certain degree, and Dark Souls. There are sparkly bugs like all over the place at the one point in the plot that really reminded me of the sparkly bugs in Dark Souls. And the way the echoes work really reminded me how the overarching plot, or not the overarching plot, the overarching world of Final Fantasy XIV works. I would definitely recommend this book to my friends who largely only play video games, honestly. It was really fun and really fast-paced. I think it'll keep your interests. I also definitely think fans of the Locked Tomb series should check this out. The Locked Tomb series, Gideon of the Ninth series. You will love the two main characters' relationships. The writing was witty and downright silly at times, and I appreciated that the story handled dark topics with levity, but still took them seriously, kind of the same way the Locked Tomb series does. Oh, and also the audiobook is narrated by Moira Quirk, who is the narrator of the Locked Tomb series as well. She does a wonderful job. She is like honestly my favorite audiobook narrator. I think she does such a good job with the voices and the intonations and stuff. I generally recommend this book. I think you should give it a try. It was really fun. That was The Last Story Between Worlds by Melissa Caruso. And that's my last guy. All right. I need to like angle it so I can like, yeah, just a little bit so I can like, my hand can go in here better. All right. I'm gonna shut my eyes. What do I get? Yeah. I don't know if this is oh, it's a book. Oh! This one's kind of exciting for me. I've been waiting to pull this book. This one is Ami. Wait, no, yeah, there we go. Ami by, I can't remember her name. I'm gonna grab that book. This is one of my books, actually, that I have. Da-da-da-da. I've been really looking forward to reading this book. Yes, this is Ami. By Jae-Jones. So the first book in the series is like Sailor Moon meets Avatar: The Last Airbender meets Cinderella, and this one I think is going to be Sailor Moon meets Avatar: The Last Airbender meets Beauty and the Beast. So it's like a series of books where each girl is kind of like representative of a different fairy tale, but they're also magical girls fighting to save the world, and they have like cool different powers. Yeah, this cover is so cool. The first one is called, oh my god, where is it? Shauna? I can't remember what the first book is called. Actually, it probably says in here. Ooh, look at the inside cover. Ooh, oh yes, they read a book series in this book called The Maiden Who Was Loved by Death. And so the inside covers of the Illumicare editions are the book that they like to read in the book. Yeah, I love it when characters represent fairy tales too. What is the first book called? Oh, Zara. Her name is Zara. Sorry. Yay. All right, so that's an exciting pull for me. I'm gonna move this off to the side. Let's pull the next one. Shut my eyes. This one. It's a book. What are you? Oh, why is Moonlight here? Moonlight! Where are you? This is the one that Moonlight submitted for me to read. And it is Honeys by Ryan Sala. It's a queer horror novel about Mars, a gender-fluid teen who investigates the mysterious deaths of his twin sister, Caroline, at a prestigious summer camp. Uh-oh. So, I'm gonna go get that book.
2,000 years later.
So, I have a couple books to review, and then I'm gonna pull a couple books to read, because I really need some books to read. I'm kind of in a reading slump all of July, because the book I was supposed to read, well, okay, so one of the books I read was huge success, loved it. The second book I was supposed to read, we'll talk about it. I read a third book, it was just okay. We'll talk about it. Let's go. I need some more new books. I need more things to read. I don't feel whole unless I have a book to read, and I need to like read the books that are in this book box. So let's go. Honeys. I don't have the physical book of this. I got this from the library, so don't have it, but I do have the mini. Here we go. The mini on its side. It's cute. The Honeys by Ryan Sala. This was recommended to me by Moonlight. Thank you very much for this recommendation. I genuinely appreciated it. So, this is a YA horror novel set, I think, in upstate New York or somewhere similar. Mars is the main character. Mars has always felt like the lesser twin, and how can he not when everyone praises his sister Caroline's radiance and talents and blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, Caroline dies very suddenly, and I mean suddenly, like the first chapter of the book. I felt like I was watching a crime procedural drama, which is not a critique. It's just, it surprised me how fast the story drops you into the plot. One thing leads to another after Caroline's death, and Mars finds himself returning to Aspen Conservancy Summer Academy, where his sister spent her summers, insisting he attend her place. Wow. I feel like I said all of that wrong. Basically, Mars goes to the camp where his sister spent every summer to figure out what really happened to his sister and why she died. Yeah. So anyway, Mars now finds himself entrenched in the expectations of his politically connected family, the traditions of the camp Caroline herself upheld, and the fact that Mars is gender fluid and already struggles to feel like he fits in anywhere. And now he has to camouflage himself in the good old gender rules of camp. It's a lot. It's a lot going on in this book, in terms of emotions, pretty much just in terms of emotions. The plot is not that crazy. It's very easy to follow along with. But none of it really matters, though, because Mars is just really at this camp to seek out his sister's friends, the girls of Cabin H, who call themselves the Honeys. They maintain the beehives by their cabin, and that's why they're named that, not for any other reason. Why would that be the case? Mars certainly won't find themselves in a classic spooky horror camp movie moments with a good helping of bees. Well, maybe Mars will, but you have to read the book to find out. This was a really fun read. I'm glad I picked it up during Pride Month, and thank you, Moonlight, for suggesting this to be in the TBR box. I don't know when I would have gotten around to read this otherwise, and that is because I just, historically, I don't like horror books, so this would never have been on a priority TBR for me, but this really hit all the right notes for me. It probably helps that I can relate to Mars's identity struggles. Being gender fluid and agender is just not that different in terms of your daily struggle with boring average humans, so I could really relate to Mars as a kid, especially just like, why does everything have to be segregated by gender? Like, that always made me so angry as a child. I could really relate with Mars for that, in that sense. While I don't think this was like the best representation ever, I think it's great to see a YA main character push the gender boundaries and norms in a way that is equal parts serious and campy, because again, this is a horror novel that takes place on a rich kid campsite. Also, I loved the insane twist at the end. I keep trying to think of how to describe the twist without giving anything away, and I can't. I would either give away the twist or I would get demonetized. So I will just say the twists were good and I loved them. But to be honest, to me, if I'm reading a horror book and things don't get a little batshit crazy, but in a fun way, I will just be like, why did I even read this book? That was boring. So it worked for me. That's just how I prefer my horror novels to go. My final point for the Honeys is to not skip the audiobook if you like audiobooks. I read the second half alongside the audiobook, and I wish I had picked up the audiobook from the start because it was super atmospheric with buzzing bees and other sound effects to really immerse you into what was happening. And I don't know why some books get such big audiobook productions and some don't, but I'm glad the Honeys did because it was really fun to read a book with sound effects happening in the background. So yeah, that was the yeah, there we go. That was the why won't you? That was The Honeys by Ryan Sala, and I actually just generally recommend this book if you like YA, if you've ever questioned your gender before, if you just want to read something that's a campy horror novel. It's a really good summer book. Really good summer book. Very good pick. The next book I read was Ami by Jae-Jones. Where's the... Oh, here we go. Here's the mini for that. I'll just put... Here's the mini, and here's the big one. Okay, anyway. There's a lot of things that are happening in this plot, so I'm going to do my best to summarize it. So, Ami, the main character, is the eccentric daughter of a former imperial magician. She has devoted her life to books because books are easier than people, and now she has been exiled into the westernmost area of the Morning Realms, and she has to take care of her very mentally ill father, who may be ranting and raving, but he also could be prophesizing. We don't know. It kind of doesn't matter. Her father is arrested for trespassing, and he's gonna get super turbo exile, not just normal exile like they are at the beginning of the book. But Ami offers herself to the beast of the castle, and Ami is the only one who can help the beast with the land's mysterious blight problem. The book is also about Jean Zara, the main character from the previous book in the series. She is traveling to the west side of the Morning Realms to try to find the remaining Guardians of Dawn, and she's traveling with 7 dudes that you barely know because they were not really introduced in the first book, and also her sort of boyfriend and her giant fire cat bird thing is also there, and there's this mysterious blight that I mentioned earlier. It's causing a zombie outbreak. So no biggie, let's just add on a whole nother element to this very busy plot. This book was really a mess. I really wanted to enjoy reading this. I thought the first book was really fun, but man, Ami brings up so many new characters and throws in plot points at you, just let's see if you could catch up with this. But I did not have a good time reading this book. I was reading it on my train ride to Toronto, and I just had a really hard time concentrating on it because there are constant perspective changes that happen just every 10 pages, and I just was not... I didn't know who half the characters they were introducing me to were. It just wasn't very good. I got to about 35% through this book in total before I realized that I can't concentrate on this book right now. I think it's a little odd how there's this book is Avatar: The Last Airbender meets Sailor Moon meets a fairy tale, but I thought it was weird how the fairy tale in this book is just directly lifting off the Disney version of the story. Maybe, honestly, I do know that the actual Grimm fairy tale of Beauty and the Beast is it's similar to a certain degree, but I just thought it was strange. Maybe that's the selling point, I'm not sure. And then the 7 extra dudes that you're introduced to are actually they're called the Bangtan brothers. They're literally BTS. They're BTS are characters in this plot, and also there's a zombie attack going on, and there's a blight disease that are killing all the plants, and everything is happening off screen. And then there's we get updated on the war that's happening elsewhere. It was just way too much. I put this book down because it's honestly just not what I'm looking for right now in a book, and I think I might pick this up when I have like a long plane ride to go on or something, because I just need a lot of time to like have nothing to do and all I can do is read this book, because otherwise I don't think I'm going to be able to concentrate on it. It just was not for me right now, and I don't really recommend it. I don't even know if I recommend the first one anymore, because knowing this is the direction, it just makes me feel a little sad. The book is very pretty. The sprayed edges are purple, and that is nice. The interior is really nice. They do mention One Piece in this book, though. The BTS in this world really like One Piece, like this world's version of One Piece. But otherwise, we don't recommend it. I read one other book because I just needed to read something else and I thought I would talk about it. So I read The Everlasting by Alix E. Harrow. I actually have a different book by Harrow in my book bowl, but that didn't stop me from picking up this audiobook instead of that one. I felt like I was just in a bit of a reading slump after trying so hard to read Ami and it's just not working. So I just picked up things at random throughout the month of July, and this is the only book that stuck. And I could properly describe this book to you, but Tumblr user Decomposing Fungi wrote a better pitch for this book than I ever could, so I'm going to let Decomposing Fungi take it away. Here is the pitch for The Everlasting by Alix E. Harrow. What if you were a cog in the Imperial machine, but Margaret Thatcher sent you to the past to be the boy toy of a hot female knight, and that made you anti-fascist? And that is truly a great description of what goes on here. The book is a romantasy with anti-war and anti-imperialist themes. I like this book. I thought it was nice. It was written very competently, but I found it to be just like way too long. As much as I enjoyed the audiobooks, multiple narrators, as the narrative would shift character, the narrator would change, and I thought that was really nice. It was really a slog to get through at points. About 40% through the book, I knew how bad the two MCs wanted to bang each other in like excruciating detail, but I didn't know of any other reason to continue reading the book other than maybe getting to see them bang if I really wanted that. A little later on, you get to like experience like why. You get to know the why of why you should keep reading this book, but I nearly DNF'd it at the 40% mark. I sincerely wish this had been more of a concise story. And apparently Harrow had previously written a slightly different version of the story as a novella, and I think I should have just read that. I know it sounds like I didn't enjoy this book, but that isn't actually true. I liked chunks of this book, and then other chunks were just super boring. So it was a mixed bag. It was okay. If you were someone who read This Is How You Lose the Time War and you really liked it, I think you will really like this book too. This is a really left field recommendation, but I think if you enjoy the romantic parts of the anime/light novel Re:Zero, you might like this book too. It somewhat reminded me of Re:Zero to a certain degree, like a very small degree, but it did just a little bit. It's also very competently written romantasy for what it's worth. There's a lot of yearning and has like a very strong anti-war overtone. I like this book. I just wish a few things were different so I could have loved it. And now I'm going to pull some books. I'm really excited to pull some books. I really want to know what I need to read for the month of August. I'm pretty excited about it, actually. Okay, so I'm going to put these away. Say goodbye. Well, you don't have to say goodbye. But goodbye to the honeys and Ami. You are done now. You've served your purpose well. Here is my book haul. I don't have very many books left. I'm pretty excited to get done with this year because I have pretty fun reading plans once I'm done with this, but I have to finish this before I can get to it. I'm committed. Alright, let me roll. Let me spin around. I have not looked at this in a long time. I know what's in here, but I don't know what's in here. Let's see. This is a book. What did I pull? What did I pull? Da-da-da-da-da. I can't tell. What are you? Oh my god. I have to like buy this book. Okay. This is Meet Me at the Surface. Hold on. Oh, Meet Me at the Surface by somebody. Let's see who it's by. I don't know what this book is about. We'll find out when I come back after I've read it. This book is by Jody Matthews, and this book was not published in the US, so I have to buy it off of like a UK ebook service to get it. But Derek R recommended this book, so we'll see. We'll see if I can enjoy it. Not sure. We'll see. I like the cover. I don't remember what it's about. I think it's literary fiction, actually. Probably literary fiction with like a hint of supernatural stuff happening. I don't know. Not supernatural. I don't know. It doesn't matter. All right, second book to pull. Set that one off to the side. Maybe it'll be a prompt. I have a few prompts. Yeah. Let's do this one. Actually, it kind of feels like a prompt. Is it a prompt? It's not a prompt. It was just a book that got stuck. I don't know what book it is though. I don't want to read this book, but I'll try it again anyway. This book, I was gifted this book a while ago. I tried reading it and it just didn't really work for me, so I put it in this book bowl and now I have to try it again. This is called The Keeper of Enchanted Rooms by somebody. I'll pull out the book now. Keeper of Enchanted Rooms by Charlie M. Holmberg. It's a cozy fantasy about a haunted house, I think, basically. And you have to like there's like really extreme a blueprint of the house. There's like oh yeah, there's different doctrines of magic in this world and different things you can do to do that. I feel like because I read Inkblood Sister Scribe, I feel like I've already read a far superior version of this book, but I will try this book again. We'll see how I feel. I think it's like halfway historical fantasy, halfway just like normal cozy fantasy. I started reading it. I was not super entertained by it. I have found that sometimes with Mormon authors, their ideas are a bit more fantastical and a bit more not really what I want. But yeah, this person is like Seventh-day Adventist. And I don't think the person who bought me this book knew that. She was born in Salt Lake City, Utah, and is a proud BYU alumna. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to try it out again. So I have two books. Meet Me at the Surface by Jody Matthews and The Keeper of Enchanted Rooms by Charlie M. Holmberg. Honestly, these are probably the two books I'm the least excited about reading in this entire list of books that I have, but that's all right. That might mean that I'm back really fast with a new book pull. I really want to read the Chunk Tangle book I have on here, but when will I be able to read it? Alas, this is what I got. All right, we'll see how it goes. Thank you for watching this video. I really don't have anything to say other than thank you. I'm not sure when the next video for the TBR project will be out. I have a couple other videos in the works right now, and I'm not going to but when everything is ready, it will come out. Basically, when the video's ready, it will come out. That's all I got. Go ahead and, if you want, I do stream every Sunday and sometimes Tuesdays on Twitch, so if you do want to see me outside of this YouTube, go ahead and check that out. It might be fun. I think I have